With Russia's relations with the United States at a historic low, President Putin has warned the United States that deploying long-range missiles in Germany would force Russia to respond in kind, placing its own missiles closer to Western targets. This move, he suggests, could spark a new missile crisis reminiscent of the Cold War. On July 10th, the United States revealed plans to station long-range missiles in Germany by 2026, including SM-6, Tomahawk cruise missiles, and developmental hypersonic weapons.
The United States had already practiced the transfer of Dark Typhoon missile systems from its territory to Denmark and the Philippines. This situation is reminiscent of the events of the Cold War, associated with the deployment of American Pershings and medium-range missiles in Europe.
Since the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine conflict in 2022, Putin has framed the conflict as a defense against Western encroachment. He argues that the West has undermined Russia since the Soviet Union's collapse, expanding its influence into what he considers Russia's rightful sphere. Putin has repeatedly stated that the United States and its allies are trying to contain Russia's growth and influence by surrounding it with military bases and missile systems. Putin claims that these actions threaten Russia's national security and sovereignty, prompting Moscow to take necessary defensive measures. Meanwhile, Ukraine and its allies see Russia's actions as aggressive territorial expansion and are determined to resist Russian control over roughly 18% of Ukrainian territory, including Crimea and parts of eastern Ukraine. Diplomatic relations between Russia and the United States are now at their lowest point since the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. Both nations call for de-escalation, yet continue to take actions seen as provocative. Putin also criticized the US for transferring Typhoon missile systems to Denmark and the Philippines, drawing parallels to Cold War fears of a preemptive strike against Soviet leadership. He reiterated that Russia might resume production of intermediate and shorter-range nuclear-capable missiles if the US proceeds with its missile deployments in Europe and Asia.
If the United States implements such plans, we will consider ourselves free from the previously assumed unilateral moratorium on the deployment of medium and shorter-range strike weapons, including increasing the capabilities of the coastal forces of our Navy. Today, the development of a number of such systems is at the final stage. We will take mirror measures to deploy them, taking into account the actions of the United States and its satellites in Europe and other regions of the world.
Experts warn that the deployment of new missile systems in Europe could lead to a new arms race, destabilizing the region and increasing the risk of miscalculations that could lead to a large-scale conflict. The shadow of the Cold War looms large, with both sides seemingly locked in a cycle of action and reaction.